Super.
BS.
What up, my doodlies? It's Brink here from Super BS, and I'm being joined by whom this evening / morning?
Janky Panky.
Janky Panky. Great. Even more confusing. I'm sure everybody will love trying to figure out
Yeah,
this.
who Janky Panky is.
Yeah, so last time we left you, we had watched the Ubisoft Forward, which was, I don't know. What do you think about it, man?
It wasn't super. I mean, they didn't announce anything like new, so it's kind of like they're reiterating what we already knew, with the exception of their mobile games.
Yeah. Oh, and everybody was waiting on those, man.
They
I
were
can't get enough.
Super
of those.
stoked. They're like, hey, guess what? Sam Fisher's back, but not the version
he's in
you
Elite
wanted.
Squad.
Yeah.
Everybody wants Elite Squad. Yeah, man. It was definitely whatever, and we talked about that a bit. But what have you been playing, man?
So I have been playing. I played Halo Reach. That took me played like an hour a day. Took me about a week to get through. Just another part of my retracing my steps for Halo. And what else I played? Did a little more Disneyland. Not much new to report there. And then I played a certain game that I know we're going to talk about in a minute called Ghost of Tsushima. Here, I did not realize how difficult it is to get physical games when they're brand new.
Oh, how so?
I don't know. I guess stores don't get shipped as many out here. So, I went to 3 different Walmarts. They didn't have it. Walmart always breaks street dates, by the way. So if you're ever looking to buy something the day before it comes out, go to Walmart. Anyways, but I went to another gaming store, got there probably a good hour after they opened. They only had 1 copy left. So, definitely the atmosphere, not atmosphere, but I mean just the way you buy games is so much different out here because there's not as much of them.
Is everybody just expected to use Amazon or?
Well, I think it's like digitally, but I mean, I didn't realize there are so many collectors out here, though. There are a lot of people who do like to have physical media, and I just don't think these stores out here get shipped enough to meet the demand.
It could also be based on the internet speeds. I don't know what the common internet speeds are where you are in Texas, but depending on if they're in a bad zone.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah. So they probably want to have physical because some of these games, I think supposedly 100 megabyte per second download, which isn't even that insane, but it's semi-decent, and it still takes me quite a bit of time to download stuff from PSN. I think Ghost of Tsushima took at least 4 hours.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII took me about, it was a 5 to 6 hour download for me.
Wow. Okay, and that was out there in California?
That was in California, so I mean...
Oh, wow. Okay, so it might take even longer, potentially.
Yeah, probably longer here.
Yeah, man, I've screwed around with some other stuff, but really the only thing that I kind of want to talk about is Ghost of Tsushima. What do you think about it so far? And how far are you in it?
Okay, so I just rescued Sensei...
Hey, don't say any spoilery thingies, but...
No, I mean...
How many, hours are you?
Oh, okay, I mean, I'm not as far as you. That's why I just did the bow and arrow mission, but I am... I'm 2 hours. I'm 3 hours in. I'd say I haven't done a lot of quests, or not quests, but stories. I guess they're called in the game.
Okay, tales.
I haven't done. Yep. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of those because I've been exploring. I have this.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing with when I play an Assassin's Creed game. I have to. All the map is fogged out, and so I have to go and open up all these spots. So I've done a lot of random battles with Mongols just camped out places, and I fought them. I been gathering supplies and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm about 3 hours in.
Okay.
But I love it. It's such a beautiful game.
Yeah, man, they did a really good job on style. We're probably both the same amount of playtime. I'm slightly further in the story, if you want to say it. There are 3 once the game opens up, and we'll say there's like an hour of story exposition at the front where the game is very different. Once the game opens up, there's essentially 2 missions that you're given that each introduce you to like a new main mechanic you need, like a new thing. And then there's a third one that you need to like do another upgrade path. So I finished all 3 of those main ones. I think there's definitely more that you can get new abilities and blah, blah, blah. But, the game, and this isn't a spoiler because they show us in a lot of the trailers, but you get a bow and arrow. But at the beginning of the game, you don't have a bow and arrow. You have to do a mission to get that bow and arrow. And another thing they show in spoilers a lot of the trailers is like he assassinates a lot of people. At the beginning of the game, if you don't do the assassination mission, you can't go around assassinating people. You can only attack them head on, at least in my experience. So I had to do that mission.
Yeah, that is something I do like. I love about the game. I love the fact that you can't just do things like even the upgrade systems. Like you have to do stories to unlock them. You have to work for it. And I think that's something I've never experienced before in an open world game. And I think that is really cool.
Yeah, I think, a lot of the critiques I've heard, because a lot of it's been podcasts and I've read some as well, have been like, oh, it's a video game, video game, a lot of people say, big open world stuff. And I see that, and a lot of people are like, oh, and they just got, the bandit camps and all that stuff. And yeah, they do have that stuff. But I definitely see some of like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild where like there's not a ton of HUD. There can be health and your, I think it's called resolve when you get into combat, but that's not on your screen unless you're in combat. There's not really a marker on the screen unless you swipe up on the touchpad or whatever. And you're just supposed to follow the wind to your next objectives. I didn't see any tower climbing. I don't know if that exists to like unlock the map.
That?
Like, I do. That's like normally the first thing I do in these style games, though, is always the tower first because then you find all the stuff. But I didn't see that. Like I don't think it's as simple as a lot of people said it. And honestly, I really am digging the combat. What do you think about it?
So this is where I've spoken to a few people who have played it, and their big critique of the game is the fact that you can't just go in and you die really easy. And it's not, you can't just go in. So you have to realize like this is not your typical hack and slash game. You can't play this the same way you'd play like Devil May Cry. You have to actually be strategic while you're fighting, and that means you have to do the counter. You have to be able to know when to dodge something. And it's I like the combat. It's challenging. It's not just. They're not just going to hand the victory over to me. I can't just jam the buttons down over and over again and then come out victorious. I have to actually like be strategic, and I have to press more than one button, which has been really refreshing.
Yeah, about the combat, I think that is similar to like the Batman style in a lot of ways, but I feel like it's even better than that, and I feel I'm playing on hard. I had read that it was a little bit easy, so I was like, okay, I'm down for a little bit of challenge. And on hard, every single thing you do is like really challenging, which is pretty fun. So like, I'll run away if there are more than 2 guys. Like I will run away till I can get one of them to come after me, and then I'll try to take him on. I dig all the skill trees. I love the way that like, I got a dodge roll, which you don't just get at the beginning, and I like that. Like it wasn't like a super hard thing to get. So it's kind of fun to be like, oh, this is actually something I'm going to use. Unlike a lot of game skill trees where it's like, I don't want any of these, but I guess I'll, or there's like 2 that I want. And the rest it's like, I guess, I'll click that button because it's like, it's the next thing I may actually use. I feel like all the skill trees are useful.
Yeah, and that's the next thing I wanted to say was that, again, like they don't just hand you all of the skills you need to survive the game. You have to work for them. You have to pick and choose and be strategic about what you're unlocking. They don't. Most games will just open up and you already have the dodge and roll mechanics as just part of the game. Like in this one, you have to actually unlock different levels of dodging, and it's something like at first glance it's frustrating, but then like you kind of appreciate the effort it takes to get it.
Yeah, it's I think they did a really good job with that. Like I said, I've been digging the combat. I think the bow and arrow shooting feels pretty good. I feel like the assassination stuff's pretty fun. Like, I haven't found anything I really dislike. Obviously, we're both really early on, and from what I've gathered, the game to finish it like fully, it's like 50 hours. To finish just the story, it's like 30-ish hours. So it's like not a short game. So I don't know if it will hold itself for that long. I can't imagine it wouldn't. Like, I'm loving it, so like I can't imagine not wanting to play it for that long, but maybe, 28 hours in, I'm going to feel like, okay, another one of these. I that's not how I feel at all right now, so it's kind of hard to know if it's going to feel like a bad thing at some point.
Yeah. So, on that note, the one thing that I'm having a hard time with this game is the fact, and this is just me and the way that I play games, so it's not anything against the game. It's the fact that, like, when you play this game, you really have to immerse yourself in the world and in the story. Like, you have to devote time to really like feel a pull towards it. So it's not something with like Final Fantasy VII, the remake. This might just be because I'm so familiar with the characters, but I could go like a few days without playing and not feel detached from the world at all. Like with this one, you have to play it consecutively. It's not something that you can like play other games in between, because it'll kind of pull you out and make you feel unmotivated to play. So I've been trying to play this one, at least an hour or two a day.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to get too into Final Fantasy VII, but that game was also like hard for me to care about at some points. It was extremely linear. There was like, and if you were at a slow point in the story, you knew that if you turned that game back on, you had to do that slow point in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like this game, on the other hand, it feels like there's tons of things to do. And yeah, they're all fairly similar in some aspect of like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a standoff against these guys, or I'm going to do this. Most of this is going to lead to combat because that's the main thing. But there's still a lot of exploration too.
Yeah, there's a lot to do in the game. Real quick though, what do you think about the standoff mechanic?
Oh, I love that. I think that thing's great. I just upgraded it to do 2, like to fight 2 guys. I don't know if you've done that upgrade yet. So like,
no, not yet.
If I win the first one, you can then fight a second guy and also take him out in one hit. Yeah, I think it's cool. I did a tail that I just fell on, like I was going to do a main tail, and then I ended up going on like a secondary tail, and it like ended up being this like, now I'm at like a super epic boss battle, and I don't want to like reveal too much, but it's like cool enough that like if there are some like setup things that I wish they would have figured out. Like I wish there was better music and stuff going into this boss battle, but it's super epic. And it's really cool, and I felt like the outside of there being no like choice, it's no Witcher 3, mind you, it feels like the tale is actually like worth playing and kind of worth like reading up on. Like I haven't felt like I do with Horizon Zero Dawn, where like I mash that X button. I don't care what anybody says in that game. Like I played a little bit of it, and I'm like, this story is not what I care about at all. There are small segments of that are semi-interesting. Most of it is not fun. It's just about like tribal stuff in the new world. And like all I like doing in that game is rolling around and and doing check marks, check marks and boxes and stuff. And like, oh, I go here now, and then I unlock this, and then I unlock this. Ghosts is like a game where like I often like just look at it slowly while I'm passing through. I'm like, whoa, this is like one of the coolest looking landscapes I've ever seen.
It reminds me of was it 2008's Prince of Persia game, the one that was done in watercolors?
Oh, the cell shade one. Yeah, that was a really cool one.
Yeah. That's it. Like it kind of reminds me of that, just like the way the colors kind of shimmer on the screen. It is a very beautiful game, and you do care about the characters. They are all really, really well developed.
Yeah, and it's cool because they're cribbing a lot from like Kurosawa films, where it's like, oh, get the people together, but because they're doing that, they're generally focusing on a very small cast, and it works really well. Like there's only like 5 characters so far I've really dealt with. I mean, there's a bunch of other side people you'll talk to, but they don't give them a lot of weight, which is good because you can't remember a million people. So there's a lot of really, really well done things. I am curious. I'm curious what I'm going to feel story-wise. Like, we talked last time before the Ubisoft event about like Last of Us 2. That was probably my favorite game of the year. And I'm enjoying this one a lot more. Sorry, there seems to be a lot of weird sound stuff going on. I'm enjoying this one a lot more, but I don't know if it's better because like the story in Last of Us 2 is good. It's just so weird. I wish this would have come out right before Last of Us 2 because the few problems I have, and I put problems in quotes because they're not real problems, are like, oh, the character models, most of them aren't as good as the character models in Last of Us 2. Yeah, Last of Us 2 is a very linear game that had a stupid budget. And this game has a lot of budget too, but it's, this game's open world. There's tons and tons and tons of side characters and lots of enemies. Last of Us 2, I mean, they probably named every enemy in that game because there's probably only a couple hundred, maybe 200 to 300. This game, I would assume by the time we're done, we're probably going to kill like, I don't know, 500 Mongols, 1,000 Mongols, maybe 400 bandits as well. I've already probably killed 100 people and I've only played for 3 hours, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same type of game. So that's kind of the only thing I have, like, as like a, not critique, but a thought is like, oh, it would have been better if this was before Last of Us 2. However, that being said, like, I am enjoying my time playing this more because it's just fun. Like, it's fun to go out there. It's fun to jump on your horse. The fact that it's not Red Dead, you don't have to wait for the horse. You just click the horse button and he comes next to you and then you go. Like, they didn't like worry themselves with how serious they were trying to be, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, it feels like an art piece. You want to see all of it. You want to understand all of it. And like I didn't play The Last of Us Part 2, so I don't know if it had this this appeal to it, but it just once I'm there, like, yeah, it gets repetitive. Like, you do fight a lot of Mongols, a lot of kind of the same. You like, I've been exploring, right? I run into the encampments a lot where they're just kind of camped out, hanging out places. I've been in a lot of those types of fights, doing the same things, but it's still like I love to see the world, and every time I encounter a Mongol, somewhere around that encampment, there's like a new a building, or there's a new little village or something that has some kind of another story in it for me to explore. So I mean, it's very satisfying.
Yeah. So far for the games that have come out this year, where would you place it? I mean, obviously we're talking about the beginning of a very long open world game, but just as of your feelings right now, I'm curious how you feel of it, like, compared to, I know you played Final Fantasy VII. I'm not sure what else you played this year that came out. Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Dragon Ball. I would say it's definitely in like the top 5 things I've played this year. I don't know exactly where it would fall, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like be quick to label it my favorite, but it's, who knows? It could, by the time I'm done, it could be my favorite that I've played so far.
Yeah, because for me, that's the thing I'm interested. Like, I've played a lot of big games. I played, besides Doom Eternal, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think Doom Eternal and I feel like there was like Xenoblade. I didn't play Xenoblade either. And you know what? I didn't buy Paper Mario. That, we should mention, that came out the same day. They took out the RPG elements, so it really lost my interest. It's definitely in my top 5. I think there's only been like 10 or 12 big games that released this year, so it's not like a crazy contentious thing. But yeah, it is definitely like a great game out of all the stuff I've played. But yeah, I'm curious where it goes. I'm curious if it's going to hold the interest. I mean, we both are big fans of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I feel like this is maybe even that more focused and not just like, hey, here's everything. And, I love the setting and the style. That's a big thing, even more than, ancient Greece.
Yeah, the story is, I don't know, when comparing it to Assassin's Creed, right? The story is more focused. Like, you don't have all these other elements happening in the background. You just have the protagonist and what he's trying to do. Obviously the fate of the island, Japan, is the big story here, but you have your main character and what he's doing, and you don't have to worry about like the animus, what's happening in the real world, what's happening with the first civilization. Like, it feels focused, and it feels like something like I can latch onto that because it doesn't give me anxiety trying to follow everything.
Yeah, I think playing this, that was a huge thing that I noticed right off the bat, is that just not having to deal with stuff like the Animus and all of the other problems that I find with Assassin's Creed, and just having a story set in, this place is just so much more enjoyable for me. Like, I was always not a fan of the Animus from day one when Assassin's Creed 1, when I found out that twist.
Oh,
I
a lot of people were
did not like it.
Yeah, they didn't talk about that at all in any of the trailers.
No, they didn't. They wanted to be this cool twist, right? And I thought that twist was the worst part of the game. Like, I still love what Assassin's Creed does, and I did grow to like, I think his name was Desmond, the guy who was in the Animus.
Yeah.
I grew to like him a lot more in the second and following games that came after that, before they ended up ending that storyline in 3, which I didn't care enough to finish. But like this game, I don't have to worry about that baggage. There's no like, oh, here's a cell phone noise in the game because you're actually in the real world, but you're playing as an ancestor to like, that's something that I love about this, right? Like, if Assassin's Creed Valhalla was like, hey, we're done with this stupid Animus stuff, and you're just playing a Viking story from beginning to the end, and there's nothing you need to worry about. Like, oh, yeah, well, how do you come back from death when you die? Oh, it's a video game, like you reload the previous save point. Like, well, I don't know why that matters.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who agree with that, but they've already started that story and they need to finish it before they just say, hey, we're done with this. We're going to discard it.
I agree. And yeah, I don't mean to rant about Assassin's Creed. This was a big thing about Ghosts that I immediately liked. I'm like, oh, here is this story in here. It's going to be told from beginning to the end, and I don't need to worry about, like, midway through there being something where, like, hopefully, this doesn't happen, I didn't read about it anywhere, where robots show up, and then it's like, oh, it's actually a robot story, and it's not about the things you think.
It's a Westworld theme park.
Yeah, like, for me, I get it. Like, everybody wants, like, a really heady concept where it's like, oh, but what you don't get is this. Sometimes it's fun to just have a game where it's like the Magnificent Seven, and you're essentially recruiting people to go do this cool, ancient, epic thing. And like you mentioned, simple. It's beautiful. The watercolor stuff and some of the stories is incredible. The aesthetic, the setting, like everything is just, I just want to be there, like even talking now, like half of me is like, man, I want to finish this podcast so I could just go back to playing Ghosts because it's really, really fun. Is there anything else you wanted to add to our discussion about Ghosts before we maybe consider talking about the news?
No, I mean, I want to play more of it. I want to get into it. So obviously, I want to be able to talk about this more on other episodes, but right now
I think we will.
I'm really enjoying it. It's something that I feel a pull to this game that I have not felt playing anything in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of that might take yours and my focus away from it is supposedly the rumored way that Microsoft is doing their announcements this Thursday, Friday, where I think it's either this weekend or whatever, they're going to release 60 demos based on E3 things, so that we might be checking those things out. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, otherwise, I don't even know of any games that come out till October. So this is going to be probably what I play through most of August and then some of September. So yeah, man, I'm crazy excited though. Last of Us Part 2 was incredible. I couldn't wait to finish the story, but this is a game I just want to play. And not that Last of Us 2 wasn't fun, but this is just all fun.
Yeah, and it's nice too because like it's The Last of Us 2, from what I understand, like it's a super heavy narrative. Like this is pretty straightforward, This is like your typical black and white action film, except it's obviously not black and white. It just
you can play it in black and white, the Kurosawa mode.
Can you?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that? Okay, yeah, the Kurosawa mode. And the only reason why I wanted to actually play it originally with Japanese dialogue and then English subtitles, but they did do the lip sync to the English, which was kind of frustrating. So I was like, whatever, I'll just play in English.
That's an American studio, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I just feel like they did from what I've read, Japan, the country of Japan, they are applauding this game for its like the way that they set up everything. They think it's really well done. So I think if they would have done the lip sync to like Japanese audio, then it would have maybe been more realistic when you're trying to do that Kurosawa comparison, where it's like those were Japanese films. If they had English dubs, the lips were moving to Japanese. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big complaint. It's just something I would have liked because it would have been, I think, an extra level of polish. But not a make it or break it, or it wouldn't even change the discussion of whether it's my favorite game of the year based on that.
Yeah.
It's just like something neat, I think.
Super BS.
Yeah, man. About the news, there was a Nintendo Mini Direct. Not exactly what we've been talking about, but it was something. It's only for Nintendo third-party partners. It was 8 minutes. Before we get into it, what did you watched it, right?
Right.
What did you think of the Mini Direct? Before we start going through, and we'll go through each of the titles because there's only, I think, four or five titles total.
It was this is the type of like direct or conference, whatever you want to call it. Like this is the type I enjoy. It's not it's not overdone with talking. You know, there's not a lot of like big game devs sitting there talking about what they're doing. It's just trailer. Like I get the most out of seeing trailers, you know, and it's fine to put some narrative on them, but I did like this. Like it was quick. They did not announce things really that too many things that I'm interested in, but I did enjoy it. I did think that it was very well done.
Yeah, so we both watched the US version. They had a few different games on the Japanese Mini Direct, and honestly, the Japanese Mini Direct was way more interesting for me than the US Mini Direct, but it started off with the Cadence of Hyrule DLC. I think we talked about that game on old Super BS. I think that game is 2 years old at this point.
It's done by the Crypt of the Necrodancer team.
Yeah, and I love that game. That game's incredible. I don't even think it made my top 5 for the year, but it was just like the music, everything about it was just a blast. It was DLC. You know, they're going to sell season pass. It was paid. That's fine. Like this is like the first thing they've talked about since like March, and there are no Nintendo first-party games, and there's not really many games announced coming out for the Switch that aren't indies. So I was kind of hoping for a bigger leadoff than DLC for a 2-year-old game. A lot of it just being either playable characters or new music, which are both neat, but they're not. I don't know. I didn't think it was that. Whoa! I didn't think it was mind blowing or anything. I thought it was like, okay, this is cool. I'm glad that's happening. Do you have any thoughts of that before we talk about the second one?
Yeah, no, I mean They announced like 3 different things to download though, right? It's a music pack, a new character, and a new story. But,
yeah, the new story, they already gave away a free one of those. It's kind of not that those aren't important, but I haven't played them. I have a really weird relationship with DLC in that I actually rarely do play it. I know there's some good stuff out there. It always feels to me like a B-side. 90% of the time it feels like B-sides that they're releasing.
Yeah. Right, yeah. I know we talked about this a couple episodes ago, like with the Alan Wake stuff. But yeah, just the the Cadence of Hyrule, it could have been something. It didn't really feel like it needed to be a part of the Nintendo Direct, but I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I definitely didn't mind it. I thought it was a weird way to start the Direct just because, like I said, it's the first time they've talked in like at least 4 months, and those directs I think were either just Animal Crossing focused or just Pokemon focused. So this is like the first like thing that said direct that wasn't like, hey, we're only talking about this one game and maybe a Smash character. But anyways, yeah, so that was the first game. The second one's a game called Rogue Company. Did you watch this trailer?
I did, and I can't tell if this is like a battle royale multiplayer. Is there a single player story? Like it seemed
people
like
only know that it's multiplayer.
Okay,
that's the only thing we know. So
it felt like a mixture of like Watch Dogs and Crisis. I don't know. I don't really know what to think of it. What were your thoughts though? Is it something you're looking forward to playing?
No, not at all. No, I think games that are just doing multiplayer are always difficult to get me excited about, especially on the Switch, a console that doesn't even come with the ability to hardwire your Ethernet in unless you pay extra money for that. And then to top that all off, it's like you're not going to be playing this on the go. I assume this is aimed towards children because those are the people who are playing like Fortnite on Switch a lot. And it looks good. I think it actually looks really nice, but it's not for me. And I don't really have much else to say besides not for me. Do you have anything you want to add before I bring up the third game?
No, I don't really
the third
care
game is
about
what?
even playing this game at all. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, the third game is for me why they maybe should have rethought this whole direct before they did it. It was scraping the bottom of the barrel. It was the WWE 2K Battlegrounds, which is that that really cartoon-styled, characterized wrestling WWE thing they're doing this year that looks very bad. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts of this? I mean, it just looks like hot garbage to me.
If it was like, it looks like it belongs on it looks like it should be a mobile game.
Yeah,
and
totally.
that was my first thought on it. Like I haven't played a wrestling game in a long time. I did really love the SmackDown series that came out on the PlayStation PS2, but I haven't played any since then. So I don't know like what fans of these types of games get hyped over, but like this just felt like a very unnecessary trailer. Like it could have just been released as a YouTube video or something.
Yeah, totally. I think it I will go so far as to say I think it brought down the direct. Like in my mind, like I would rather them have less games announced than put that in there. I get that 2K is a big publisher. They probably had some weight, so they're probably like, "Hey, can you announce this somewhere?" But it looks like trash. And then the final, they had like a kind of like a twofer. So I guess there's 5 games that were announced, but they were the Shin Megami Tensei series. They had the 4th one was on 3DS, and they are doing a remaster for the 3rd, which I guess was a PS2 game, and that's coming out next spring. And then the Shin Megami Tensei 5, which was announced in January with the Switch in 2017, that is also coming out next year. So these are at least the second one, Shin Megami Tensei 5, was announced 3 years ago now, and it's coming out next year. So it's like not anything new, and neither of them are coming out this year. So that's kind of my beef with this direct. Honestly.
Felt like they were hurting for content.
Well, yeah, what happened to Bayonetta 3? What happened to like all of the other third-party games? I have to imagine they had Bravely Default 2. They had a bunch of other stuff that was supposed to come out this year. Is that not happening anymore? Because the stuff they chose to show was not great.
Well, even if at the beginning of this direct they had the warning with the COVID, like, hey, due to COVID, dates can change. This stuff might not even come out for a while. I guess I don't know. Like maybe a lot of the stuff that was supposed to come out this year is kind of up in the air. Though I thought Bayonetta 3 was pretty close to being done. So I don't know. What's going on?
Or No More Heroes 3. What happened to that?
Yeah. Right. I don't know, man.
In my mind, like Nintendo, if they're not going to get their stuff together this year, due to COVID, there's a lot of stuff that is up in the air, right? Whatever. I get that. They need to curb expectations now. If there are no Nintendo games coming out at the end of this year, they need to say that now. Like it is getting to the point where, and sorry, just real quick, getting to the point where we're July 17th, they released Paper Mario Origami King, which kind of still fell on their pattern of every 2 months they'd release a game, because before that there was Xenoblade, and before that there was Animal Crossing. So they were still following their kind of cadence. And now we have nothing. Cadence of Hyrule, yes, that's what they're following. Now we have nothing. We literally have nothing to look forward to. There's the rumored Mario remasters, but I get that they probably want to save that for maybe when they're ready. Nobody knows what's happening with Breath of the Wild 2. Nobody knows what's happening with Metroid Prime 4. And those are, as far as I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, those are all of the games that they have announced for Switch now. Like, period.
Yeah. And, they haven't done a great job. Yeah, there hasn't been anything besides, the voice actors saying, hey, our work with Breath of the Wild 2 is done. There hasn't really been a lot of talk about any of that stuff. It's all just been speculation. And Nintendo keeps saying, "Hey, we're gonna have more of these directs as as the year goes on." But I know
It's just
we've talked about this off air a lot. Like they have to announce something because I don't see them going into the holiday season without anything big coming out. It would surprise the hell out of me if they did.
Yeah, for me, honestly, if they have nothing, like I said, I mean, I wish they would have done this earlier, but they need to announce this now. This year, due to XYZ, we're not going to release anything. Because, I mean, whatever. We talked about this either 2 episodes ago, because the last episode was the Ubisoft thing. They don't need to do anything if they don't want to, because truthfully, they make so much money off the Switch. It's still sold out everywhere. Animal Crossing was one of the highest selling games this year. They don't have to do shit, essentially. They can do whatever they want. But if they want to keep people not thinking this is the next Wii or Wii U, where they had just crazy long gaps between releases, then they really need to start figuring stuff out. But I don't know, man. I really don't know what they're gonna do. I feel like they've been radio silent for a very long time, and with the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, I guess they could do whatever they want and they'll still sell stuff. But I totally remember this feeling with the Wii, where like I had a system that at some point I liked. I bought Super Mario Galaxy. I had the Zelda Twilight Princess. I really enjoyed what I was playing. And then I never turned it on for 3 or 4 years, and I got rid of it because it was garbage and I just didn't touch it.
Right.
They didn't release stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that won't be what's going on with the Switch. I'm hoping that they're not just riding their laurels right now. He's saying, "Oh, hey, everyone wants a Switch right now. They're sold out everywhere. Good for us." But I'm really hoping they don't do that, and I'm hoping for something big. But even if they don't have some kind of big first party game coming out, like there are plenty of things. The Super Mario games could be great. Just put out remasters, or even give us port some content. Like do something. Don't become if you become a non-contender during the holiday season, it could very well end up the way that you're thinking it might.
Yeah, for me, there is so many fairly easy things they could do that I am blown away. Like I'm not somebody who thinks like, "Oh, there's nothing going on. Why aren't they making games?" Like I get it. There's a worldwide pandemic. They can't be in the studio, but there are simple things that you would have imagined that they hopefully would have prepared for. One of those things is they released a remaster of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on Wii U. Those games still have not come to the Switch. Wii U content or graphic-wise is very similar to Switch. They could just port that over and remove the touchpad support. That's all they have to do. Like, this is not, crazy, unrealistic expectations to be like, hey, you guys need games. Like, that's what, people have. But yeah, man, it's just disappointing because I feel like we talked about this on Super BS before. They've already made quite a few mistakes with the Switch. One, they didn't continue with the Virtual Console. They did not do exactly what we were hoping they would do, which is both the 3DS teams and the original Wii U teams were now making games for one platform, which would make it so they'd have more games. I think in some ways they're doing that, but I still don't think it's 100. I think because they decided to also focus on mobile, they're also adding like an extra layer that's like, you guys don't actually make that much money from mobile. You're wasting a lot of time. Mm-hmm. Anyways, we could talk about this all day. I don't think it's worth that type of room or breath, but it's frustrating because like we've spoken about, kind of like the original Wii, they don't need to do anything. They're kind of like the PlayStation 4 right now. They could do nothing and everybody be like, I want to Switch. I want to Switch. And it's a great console. Released with like a ton of good games.
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating to be like, oh, you guys have, you're not going to do Virtual Console. You released like a thing with your online service with Super Nintendo and Nintendo games, but you're only going to update that with like 2 games every 3 or 4 months. Like there's just so many crazy ideas where it's like, why? Why not just put every month, put like 2 games on there? You know, you still can't play Earthbound on Switch. It took me forever to get Earthbound. That was on Wii U and 3DS. I don't own either of those anymore. You now can't play Earthbound again on Switch. Like, it's crazy to me, man. It's just mind-boggling. Like, I don't get what Nintendo's doing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful. Like I said, I'm hopeful, but I don't know. You know, we didn't even know this mini direct was happening until yesterday. So it's possible that they're just keeping all their cards close to the chest. But then again, it's possible they're not too.
I'm hoping that you're right. Dr. Donna kind of said something similar where he thinks that just Mario games are going to be it for this year, and that will be all of their releases.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine, and that's totally, you know, I understand. This is crazy what's going on this year, but it just, you know, and I've done some programming. I have not programmed for Switch or Wii U, so I can't speak to it totally. But from what it seems like, going from Wii U to Switch is not impossible, and they could release the remaining games that they had on Wii U over to Switch. And someone like myself, who had a Wii U for a very short period of time and played almost nothing on it, would be like, oh, Super Mario 3D World? Yeah, I might pick that up. There's nothing on my Switch. Oh, both of the Zeldas? Yeah, I haven't played Wind Waker forever, and they removed the... did you ever play Wind Waker?
No.
Okay. They had some horrible mechanics late game where you had to just do this treasure hunt, which is why I stopped. I didn't finish it, is because it's like you needed to go and collect rupees for like forever to do the last thing. It was a really bad idea. I did not love it, but, you know, whatever. It's their thing. But anyways, like I said,
Well,
they have options.
Yeah. Can we talk about, you know, before we move on from the direct, can we talk about the trailer we were discussing earlier that they didn't show for, or that the American version didn't show for Sakuna of Rice and Ruin? So I got to play
I watched that clip. Oh, you played it?
I played it at E3, and like I loved it. It was so much fun. Like I got a good like 15 to 20 minutes on it, and it's an amazing game. It's so much fun. It's a side scroller, but I don't know. Like it's a very like neat looking game, and the gameplay is super smooth. You're a farmer. You get to use your farming tools to take out bad guys. I don't know what happened to it because there was an English copy being played at E3. So I don't know like why this game hasn't come out and why they didn't talk about it at today's direct.
Yeah, that was a strange thing. So they did talk about it in the direct, but only in the Japanese direct, which made no sense.
Yeah.
I think they've talked about it before, like 2 years ago, because they used to do directs a lot more frequently. So maybe that's why they didn't want to talk about it again. But even then, it is one of the only games coming out this year that they have from a third-party publisher. It looks beautiful, looks gorgeous. Like, I'm really excited to play it. Why would they not focus on that? Like, it's Shin Megami Tensei, yes, that's really cool, looks great. I'm sure it will be a blast. It's not coming out till next year. You know, like, this is coming out this year. Let's focus on stuff that people can play at some point before, like, you know, everybody who's thinking the world's going to end this year, so they're not even going to get to play Shin Megami Tensei next year. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
It's insane to me. Yeah, believe me, I have no clue why they did that. I watched some of the trailer. I didn't watch a ton because I didn't think it was coming out over here. And then you and Dr. Donna were mentioning, you said you played it, and Dr. Donna said it came out this year. I'm like, it looked really cool. Kind of looks like a Metroidvania mixed with an RPG. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah. It's like I said, you know, it's a side scroller, but it has 3D elements to it.
You know what it reminds me of then? Did you ever play Dust in Elysian Tale? Was that weird Fox game on 360?
Oh,
where,
I remember that.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of a mix between that and the guys who make Dragon's Crown, which was this PS3 game. They made this game called Muramasa. That's it. Muramasa the Demon Blade. And I had that on my Vita. And that game is similar. It's an RPG, side-scroller, a little bit of like... exploration elements to it. Like for me, I get a kick out of those things. Those are great games. So I'm really excited for that. But why they didn't put in the US Direct, why they put WWE 2K there and a third-person shooter, I can kind of get Rogue Company, the third-person shooter by the guys who made Smite. Like, I get that idea because they're like, oh, America, they love their shooters. But like, why WWE 2K? Do they really think that many people are excited for it? Nobody seems to have bought the WWE 2K17 or 18 or whatever one was on Switch because that game sold like crap. So the next year they didn't even release the next one on Switch. And instead they're going to put 2K Battlegrounds, which looks even worse somehow, in their only news from this entire summer.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling, dude. Was there, sorry, I'm like frustrated. Like I love the Switch. We've talked about this endlessly on this podcast. Is probably my favorite console, just flat out, period, straight up. Like it is super well made. The Pro controller is based off the Xbox style controllers. It's incredible. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games ever made. It has like the ability to be the greatest console historically by just releasing some more Super Nintendo games and doing some other stuff, like where you could have like Chrono Trigger and all these other things. And then it just has like these pitfalls, which, the first 2 years it didn't have at all. And even the third year it wasn't super, or I guess we're technically kind of in year 4 because it came out 2017. But the first 2 to 3 years it was doing pretty good. And now this year, man, it's bad.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And, maybe, like you said, maybe this has something to do with the pandemic, but also, look at Sony and Microsoft. They're still doing what they can to remain active during this time. And that's just not something that we're seeing out of Nintendo, at least not to the same extent.
Yeah, man. We'll find out what happens through the end of this year. I actually didn't find that many other interesting news stories this week. Did you?
Xbox Live being discontinued. I'm curious what kind of service they're going to put in place of that.
A lot of people are really pissed because what they're assuming they're going to do, and this could be the truth, I hope it's not, is they're going to force everybody to get Xbox Ultimate Games Pass, which is a great service. I'm not like saying like, hey, don't get that. But if people don't have an option, that's what people are thinking that they'll have to do. They'll have to pay way more money. I personally, however, and I don't know why I'm a fairly cynical person, but this I'm fairly optimistic about. And I could be wrong, I could totally imagine a world where Microsoft allows people to play games on the internet potentially for free if they discontinue Xbox Live, and then you will just pay for Games Pass. I could be wrong. I have no foundation. They're the first people to charge for it, but I would be very amazed with how good they've been customer service-wise the last few years to be like, oh, no, we're going to take out the cheaper option. You guys have to pay the $170 a year for Xbox Games Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, and like if the mechanics of it were the same, like I'd be fine with that. My fear when I first read all this was that, oh no, we're going to have some kind of like Facebook dashboard on our thing, because they've announced all those partnerships, and that was like my first fear is that we're all going to have Facebook profiles, and when we're logged into Xbox Live, people will be able to see it on Facebook and all that stuff. So
no,
I like your vision of the future a lot better.
I mean, I could be wrong. Just the way that Microsoft's treated people these last few years with just how good they've been, the $1 to upgrade Xbox Games Pass Ultimate. They're obviously trying to push Xbox Games Pass Ultimate, so I could be wrong. But I also don't see them as being the company who's like, oh, there's a much cheaper option. We're taking that out. You only have one really expensive option. So, yeah man, I mean, I could totally be wrong. They could be doing that. They could be like, hey, Xbox Live isn't worth it. $60 a year is not worth it for us. Pay us more money. But I would be amazed if right now, when launching a new console, they're going to try to do something that could hurt them at all. Like, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful. I would love to just have it all bundled into like the Games Pass service. Like that would be cool too. But again, like this is interesting to me because I have for the first time, like I have no idea what to expect. Like, is this a complete service overhaul? Like, is this a completely new platform we're getting, or is it just they're going to combine two things that already exist? I don't know.
So they did mention they only plan on talking about first-party games next, Thursday. But I'm curious if they're going to bring this up. Like, very curious if they're going to talk about this. I know they didn't say they would. I know they said they would not do that stuff. But I'm just curious because if they don't talk about this stuff and they do discontinue Xbox Live and they only offer Games Pass Ultimate and keep things the way they are now, I mean, there's obviously a lot of Xbox haters anyways, but they've had very room to hate on them outside of not having first-party games. These were the first comments I've seen in a long time where, like, I get people's frustration, you know, especially with the way the world is right now and jobs and the economy and all the other issues. If you're taking away the option for people to pay $60 a year to play Call of Duty or whatever they're going to play, the one game they buy, it's going to make a lot of people angry. And I just don't see Microsoft being like, hey, let's screw over a bunch of people right now.
Yeah, no, I don't see them doing
pay $180.
Yeah.
I could imagine them lowering the price of Xbox Games Pass Ultimate to like maybe $80 a year or $100 a year and it doing both, you know, instead of $180, or $170 or whatever it is right now. Just too high for them to just keep that as the only option.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think that even like $80 is too high. It's just if you're gonna combine the two services, like, do it $50, $60 a month. Like, keep it around the range of what it originally cost. You know,
you mean $50 or $60 a year, right?
a year. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no worries. But the only problem with that I see is Xbox Games Pass is a crazy good deal. That's why I think $80 a year, if it's coming with both Xbox Live and Games Pass for PC and Xbox, that's a crazy deal.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I mean.
The PC part, because I'm only paying for my Games Pass on Xbox. I think I'm doing like $10 a month, something around there.
Yeah. So if you wanted to stop, say you pay for Xbox Live as well.
Yeah.
Right? Do you?
Yeah.
So if you want to stop doing that, all you do is pay $5 more, and that gives you both the Xbox Games Pass for PC, Xbox, and Xbox Live. So, like, that's why I'm saying it's not a bad deal, but just when you look at that as a one-time year thing, that's why I think they may actually try to move away from this, because those buy the whole year up front things aren't as good as like the Netflix model. Like, nobody thinks about Netflix as costing $130, but it does. It costs more. It costs like $150 a year for Netflix. Nobody ever thinks about it costing $150 a year because we pay what, $12 a month, right?
Yeah,
or $13 a month or whatever.
We're looking at it as a monthly subscription, so you're not thinking in terms like that.
So I think Microsoft wants to do the same thing. Right now, people are paying, whatever, $1. Like, they would much rather have people's $15 a month, which is way more than $60 a year, which is what those people are paying right now, who just want Xbox Live. But yeah, man, beyond that, you have any other news that you want to talk about? I know we got a big episode coming real soon whenever we do the Xbox conference.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Before the Xbox conference gets here, though, do you want to make like 3 predictions?
Oh, I like that. I didn't even, okay, let's try to do that. I'm going to try to stay away from my original prediction, which is Fable, Halo, and Forza will be the 3 launch titles, or the 3 launch window titles. Okay. My predictions, 3 of them. So one of them I'm going to make is not a good one. That crappy Battletoads looking thing, that will either be released on the announcement day, this Thursday night, or for the launch of the next console. Do you know which one I'm talking about? The 2D Battletoads?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have to do one because I need a second to think.
Okay, I'm predicting in early October, first half of October release date for the Xbox Series X.
Really? Okay. I'm not going to make this my prediction, but I still am thinking November. I think, this is not a prediction, but I think it's going to be Assassin's Creed Valhalla drops, I want to say November, what is it? November 12th? Sorry, just trying to check.
Good,
yeah, I think it drops November 17th, and Cyberpunk 2077 drops November 19th. So honestly, not a prediction, but I think it's going to come that week.
What's leading me to this is Halo games have historically dropped in the first part of October.
What about Halo 3? I could have swore that was November. That was an October game?
I thought it was like October 12th or 13th, somewhere around there.
It was September 25th.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
was way wrong. I just remember being in school, so I guess it was a lot earlier than I thought. Okay, so for a prediction, I am going to predict that Microsoft will announce the new Perfect Dark game this Thursday.
Ooh.
By, what is that? The Coalition. Their quadruple A studio.
That's a good one.
Okay, what do you think? Is number 2?
Number 2, I think that. Well, I mean, they've already announced that. So I think that they are going to have a Forza title for a launch title, and that's just me.
That's
playing
the
it
easy
safe.
one. Yeah, that's why I didn't do my 3 that I think are safe. I think it's gonna be Fable, Halo Infinite, and Forza. If you want to change that one, I'll give you a chance later, but you can keep that. I think for my final prediction, and man, I had this like a week ago. I was thinking about it and it made a lot of sense. I think, well, they've already announced that xCloud is going to be part of Xbox Games Pass Ultimate, and that's going to launch in October. I think that the Xbox Series X is going to cost $450.
Oh, dang. Okay.
It's a very, I'm not positive of that one, but that's like a very optimistic prediction in their way to kind of beat Sony.
I was thinking it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 to $500.
Okay, what do you want to make for your third prediction though?
So we're gonna have Gears of War is gonna have some kind of presence at this.
Oh yeah, of course.
I don't know, like.
I think Gears Tactics is going to be the thing. They never finished that game. Like, they never told us when it's coming out.
Yeah. Oh, so didn't it drop on
PC in April.
Okay.
But they've never talked about the console release. I mean, this isn't a prediction of mine, but this is just like a educated guess. I think that will come to console around launch as well. But that's not going to be a big title. You know, that's just going to be like hey, here's this thing. Because I don't know if you followed the XCOM games, but XCOM 2 ran like crap on Xbox One, even on Xbox One X. So I think and this looks like it's even harder to run. So my guess is they just don't want to deal with it. So it's going to come out.
I want to change my Forza prediction. I think that Hellblade 2 will be a launch title.
Whoa! Okay, now we're getting to Dream 3 wish lists. I like this.
Yeah, getting controversial here.
I don't see that happening. But that'll be cool. Okay, do you have anything else you want to predict? I've run out of things. For me, it's the Battletoad, the pricing, and
it's just I feel like we know what we're gonna get from Microsoft. We're gonna get like the usual Halos and Gears of War. I'm holding like a small piece of me is holding out hope that there will be an Alan Wake announcement, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
What do you think, real quick though, about the Marvels rumor? There's a rumor that I forgot what company. One of the companies is going to do a Marvel game exclusive for Xbox, kind of like how Spider-Man was exclusive for PlayStation. Some people have said it's a Guardians of the Galaxy game. A lot of people aren't sure. But what do you think about that?
I haven't actually heard anything about that, but that would be interesting because, you know, especially with Square's Avengers game coming out, you know, I don't know what that would look like. Do you think we're going to hear anything about the WB acquisition?
No, they said they wouldn't do any business talk. I was hoping that originally. If they show a Rocksteady game, I wouldn't be too surprised, but I don't think that they're going to talk about the acquisition. So even if we see the announcement of the new Batman or the new Suicide Squad game or whatever they're working on, I still think like we won't know that they bought them till after. They may wait till August and be like, hey, we just so you know, you didn't see or maybe they'll have PlayStation for that one because it's probably a game coming out to both. But we also bought them after we saw what they were working on. And then that's when all bets are off, man. Nobody knows if they're going to play ball like they did with Minecraft and just give it to everybody because it was already multi-platform, or if they're going to like hold their cards to their chest. But regardless, I think this Thursday is going to be super exciting. Like, I can't wait. I would say that we would talk over it, but I think just for the sake of audio quality, we'll probably do like a reaction as fast as we can after. So either the same day or the next day.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, my doodly. Well, I will talk to you another time this week. This will be a strange week for, if you're listening to this episode, there will probably be another episode, like a bonus coming out this week, later for the Microsoft thing, either this weekend or late this week. So, talk to y'all later.
Late.
Oh, yeah.